Good afternoon, and what a warm, bright, and sunny day. It is Wednesday, the 16th of August. I've got a nice hot cup of tea and a box to unbox. This is the introduction to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and included in TSR Interactive Audio CD, much like the first Quests adventure role-playing game, which TSR published a little bit earlier. So, everything the first-time player needs: introduction to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Imagine you've entered a fantasy realm with monsters, treasures, and daring deeds to be done. Play a heroic fighter or cunning wizard. Explore old castles and chart the depths of mysterious dungeons. The Advanced Dungeons and Dragons game has no limits. Your character can do anything you imagine. An interactive audio CD guides you through the adventures. This is the easiest and fastest way to learn the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons game. The audio CD is complete with digital sound effects, music, and adventures, so crank up your boombox. How very 90s. And dive into real adventure with the introduction to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons game. Your first quest is in your hands. So that's what you've got on the back. Now, I didn't know that this existed. This is one that sort of like kind of passed me by. So we open up and the first thing that strikes me, I'm trying to see whether there is a. I don't think there is, but essentially, first stop, player's handbook, and there's artwork on the front, and you've got contents page, and this would have been, let's have a look, 1995. Back when TSR, obviously still in Lake Geneva, and TSR Limited, not TSR UK, was in Cherry Hinton, Cambridge. So, we have basically what introduction and a look and style which people will remember from Dungeons and Dragons Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd Edition. We've got a guide to player characters, what the scores mean, character classes, basic rules, and sort of like a illustration of a bunch of, in giving you an idea, a bunch of nerderwells, including the thief with his pocket in the magic user's pouch. So rules continue essentially with fighting, how to handle that, casting spells, finding and removing traps, basically the kind of core elements of play, money, magical treasures, that sort of thing, equipment, character levels and experience, expanded rules, the role of the DM, ability checks, and more. How to find secret doors, death, and thieves' powers, calling them powers rather than skills, although they're listed as sort of like skills there. You've got backstabbing, discussion of alignment, and then the rules. And basically we've actually got a guide to creating characters in here, which is essentially unlike a lot of the other starter sets. A starter set will give you sort of like, here are some pre-generated characters, go. So here we are talking about elements of sort of player character races. So you've just got listed dwarves and elves, and then we're on to classes. So you can't have a halfling. And then it's wizards, fighters, thieves, and clerics. So it's sort of like stripped down, kind of going back to basics, as it were. Choosing equipment. And you've got a wizard spell table in the wizard spell section. Actually, quite a long list of spells. So you really got quite a lot of options in terms of creating and playing those characters. More than, as I say, you would normally expect in a box set like this. 3rd level spells all the way up to water breathing, lightning bolt, hold person. Then it does the same thing for your cleric. There's the list of clerical spells, 1st through 3rd level. And here you have a cleric going about his duties and sort of like, seeing to the injured dwarf. So that brings spells to a close, and that's the player's handbook in the set. Also, there is Dungeon Master's screen, and you've got the ability score, special movements, how to attack. No attack matrix that I can see necessarily. There we go. That's not particularly sturdy, but you know, it is what it is. Monster Manual, Saraveri 2nd edition, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And you've got the full list of creatures here. You know. And there's a lot of similarity between this and the look of, you know, the later Dungeons and Dragons adventure game came out in 1999, which I've done an unboxing of. You know, using a lot of this artwork, you know, reusing it, just sort of like, okay, here's the latest kind of basic, it's basic or starter box set for the game. So some of this artwork is excellent. Some of it I kind of go, not necessarily so much. It's a bit, but you know, you've got lots of creatures in here. I'm sort of flipping through this fairly quickly because obviously, you know, we've got a couple of types of zombies, so zombie and zombie juju, but nothing out of the ordinary that you would expect to see in a Dungeons and Dragons kind of game. You know, so you know, even down to, you know, that image of the kobold has been used over and over. So that's the monster book. You also have at the end section on treasure types and treasure generation, treasure lists for potions and scrolls and rings and staves and wands. And then under miscellaneous magic, we've got sort of boots of dancing, dust of disappearance, carpet of flying. So essentially more moving into sort of your classic kind of, not quite artifacts, but similar arms and armour. And then unusual weapons like axe hurling, mace of disruption, sword of wounding, short sword of quickness, sword +1, flame tongue, and the like. And this is also on the book back. You have a table for your treasure, and with some notes at the bottom on treasure types. Underneath that, we have the Dungeon Master's Guide. So this is talking about adventures and what they are and what the Dungeon Master does. So about adventures. And here we're talking about things like setting up, using adventure, using the CD, and you've got the icons there for play and pause, the story of the adventures. So we've got the Tomb of Damara, the Ghost of Harrow Hill, and under Mount Dread. So you've got those listed. You've got 3 adventures. It's saying, you know, advice on there on leaving and coming back, handling experience points, and the town. And then we get into the first adventure, the Tomb of Damara. Are you the DM? This book is for you. What you need: the basic rules, the CD player, the CD, the Tomb of Damara map, character cards, the DM screen, the dice, the paper, and pencils. Preparing for play. Again, here's what you need. Here's where you start. You've got a guide to reading the map. and then you press start on track 3. And then we have the Tomb of Damara. And that's the map, and you've got individual locations with the CDs, excerpts to be played, and then individual rooms throughout. That's got nice artwork there. Suggesting possibilities are sort of like the monsters striking back at the player characters, although that kind of so rarely happens. And then we get into Bone Gnasher's Den, the evil ogre and his wolves. I'm hoping there's going to be a map underneath this, because this is a bit, my box set is a bit higgledy-piggledy, but we've got the orc mine detail and Damara's tomb. They're a bit plain. We get to Damara's tomb, because ultimately you should do, and there you discover Damara steps going down, complete with bats flying up. And as you've got the conclusion, you return to town, you're ready for the next adventure, and they've got the town of Freedale with a location described, and the town. And you look at this and I go, okay, hold on a minute, I recognise this. This has been this essentially. This is what is repurposed for the Dungeons and Dragons adventure game published in 1999 in a slimmer edition. Because that's instantly recognisable, that's presented as a card to give to the player characters. So here's what the town looks like. And you look at that and you go, that's you kind of go, yeah, that's like kind of like how can I put it? That's it doesn't feel, it feels sort of like more, I would say Renaissance, say Italy or somewhere like that, rather than necessarily than what necessarily we would think of as a COD medieval town. It's very clean. All bright and sparkly, whereas it's sort of like to a British audience, to a European audience, it's sort of like, well, they've cleaned that up quite a lot, haven't they? Because we'd expect mud underfoot, and a bit of shit underfoot as well. So, a la Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So here we've got the description of the town, what you can buy there, who you can encounter before we get to the Ghost of Harrow Hill. And this is using the other map. And again, nicely illustrated. You're clicking on particular track numbers for when you reach particular locations. Although there are also read aloud sections as well. So the Dungeon Master is kept occupied, in describing these details, giving information to her players. And individual locations are mapped for the benefit of the Dungeon Master. Even right down to got a secret crypt there. And then you've got the picture of Harrow Hill there at the top, with the ominous thunder crashing down as lightning strikes. And you kind of go, yeah, kind of would have wanted that at the front there, really, because that's where they're going. Then we have next adventure is under Mount Dread, and again you've got the background, playing the adventure, setting it up, helpful advice for the DM to get started, and then the level 1 dungeon. I really a lot of this artwork is kind of actually quite a lot of fun there. You know, it really sort of like, and what it kind of portrays in some cases is sort of like is the monsters being quite proactive. You know, going out and sort of like grabbing the player characters, tying them up, threatening them. So in some ways, much more dynamic necessary than you play than your play of Dungeons and Dragons might be, because you know there's always the adage of you know don't split the party, never split the party. So, okay, but yeah, the artwork in there is really very good. I like it, a lot of it. And then we've got level 2 dungeon. It says, "Where's the map?" The first level of Undermount Dread has a map. Don't worry when you can't find a map for the second level. This is the next step you take as a dungeon master, creating your own map. Okay, and it says, to get you started, there's a nearly blank map on the back of this book. It shows the stairs down from the first level. As the passage starts, the square marked to the second level, it connects to the passage of the level. You know, so essentially, the dungeon master draws the second level map herself. And here, essentially, you have advice what to put in and where. So you don't have a map, but you do have the locations. So you know, a library, a fortified room, a library, a pit, paper room, the burnt room, mine shaft, the furnace, and so on. And then there's deeper down if you want to go further under Mount Dread. Much more creepier, nice sort of like sense of atmosphere with that piece of artwork. And then ultimately you have beyond the introduction to the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons game and the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. You know, basically where to go next. So what I've got in here is quite a lot of things. I'm just showing you there because I don't want to tip them out. So you've got these miniatures like those that were in the Adventure CD-ROM set. No, nice and sturdy, but you know they're okay. They're okay. And then I've got in here a lot of dice, and I think sort of like there's a mixture of dice, sort of like from the CD-ROM set that's sort of like been combined into this set. So I'm just clearing out all the dice, so I can get at the next bits down below. There we go. We have the CD-ROM itself. Interesting list of people involved in the background. Includes Bruce Nesmith, Flint Dill, who is the brother of Lorraine Williams, who was the head of TSR at this time. And it's sometimes you've forgotten his contribution to role-playing. So yeah, there's the CD. And we've got a set of reference cards. So, and again, you know, you've got there's the fighter wizard, the elf, details on the back of her general rules. You've got a general character sheet there, or character card. Slinker, the thief, with thief general rules on the back. Morganth the Mysterious and Wizard General rules on the back. Beldar the Brave, Fighter General rules on the back. Delvar Iron Fist and Warfighter General rules, and Lord and the Pure Cleric, and then the Cleric details on the back. So those are the character sheets you get for the game. Plus the blank one, and then you have that's the town of Freedale, and that's what I recognised. You know, that card is almost straight out of, you know, it's almost as if they sort of like had bits left over and were reassembling it. Town of Freedale, details on the back. And then below that we have a couple of things, but I'm going to grab this next because it's what everyone will want to see. We have the map. So, where are we? So this is the house on Harrow Hill. Okay, and then what we've got on the back is the tomb of Damara. Okay, so that's the big map you get in the game. Below that you have customer response card. You know, you'd send that in for, you know, basically tell the company how they were doing, you know, and then which would go to Mid-America Research Inc. in Mount Prospect, Illinois. And below that we have, where do I go from here? What do I pick up? How do I have fun with this? What do I get? And it's basically, so I want more powerful characters, so you've got the rules books to pick up suggesting I want more magical items and so on. So, you know, you've got the player's handbook for one, and the Dungeon Master's Guide, and then on the back I want more monsters, monsters manual, and then I want to explore the world. We've got the you've got the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. So let's put all this back. So just trying to organise these a bit more neater than they were. Cards, miniatures, dice. So that is the introduction to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, published by TSR in 1995. Completely passed me by, I think. Probably no doubt because essentially I wasn't particularly interested in playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons by that time, and I'm sort of mostly not now. So yeah, that's an interesting product. Even to the point where you kind of go, oh, okay, this is interesting, and go, okay, I can see where they got the basis for everything in this box set in a subsequent box set, the Dungeons & Dragons adventure game published in 1999 by TSR, not replicated in the Dungeons & Dragons adventure game box set published in 2000 by TSR / Wizards of the Coast. So yeah, you have a bit of an evolution of this sort of like the introductory starter sets published by TSR here. There are a few I don't have. There are a few that I'm kind of looking for. I'd like to get a couple of big black boxes, and even Dragon Strike as well. But anyway, that is the introduction to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons published by TSR. Hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the subscribe like button down below. If you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. We'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.